Hi and welcome to Bread and Honey, the video series from Times Money Mentor about life, love and money, where nothing is off the table. Today we're asking, can you be pretty and poor? According to research, each of us will spend more than the average price of a new home on our appearances during our lifetimes. That's over £350,000. Now, not satisfied with makeup, moisturiser and a good night's sleep, more of us are going under the knife or having products injected into us. And increasingly, it's men and younger women getting procedures done. So how much of what we put on or in our faces actually works? And how much is a waste of money? Are filters and social media distorting our concept of beauty? And where do we turn if something goes wrong? I'm Georgie Frost, and today Martin James and I will be delving into this with the help of freelance beauty editor and Sunday Times contributor Morgan Fargo. Welcome to you both. What are we spending our money on? Like, what's in these brands? How are they justifying selling these expensive products that you can get for an absolute fraction of the price? Is it all just marketing? They just employ some of the best celebs to sell it, and that's where our money's going on? Or is it genuinely what's in the product is better for our skin?
It's a mixed bag. I think so much of it is, like you say, sexy marketing that looks fantastic and looks really slick. I think a huge proportion of it is social media. TikTok and what people are recommending on TikTok and which brands have the most budget to send out PR packages and get their product front and centre on a number of skinfluencers or makeup influencers. They're the ones that get the most cut
loving
through.
that.
I know, it's a word.
You break the cycle. You can be pretty and not have a load of money. Let's just dispel that right now, right? A good SPF. My nana had some Nivea. Other brands are available, obviously. But you can be.
Yes.
But how do you break the cycle of what societal expectations are? Because, certainly I'm of an age where this is all quite new, this, Instagram, the pressure. I can't imagine, and I'm so grateful I wasn't growing up in an era. It's bad enough anyway. I mean, I spend a phenomenal amount of my money on trying to look good and holding back the tide of aging. But I can't imagine what it must be like to be, a young person now with that absolute deluge of images of what you should look like, and all of this, the options saying, look, pick this, pick Tweakments, pick this mascara, this whatever, this will make you look wonderful. And if you don't buy it, you're not trying hard enough. There's another thing down the line.
Dove did a study last year and it was on young girls. And 1 in 2 of the young girls said that social media is negatively impacting their self-esteem. As a beauty editor, I look at pictures of people and their skin and their bodies and their faces all day long. I see it on my Instagram, I see it on my TikTok, I see it in my work, I see it everywhere. I have deleted Instagram off my phone.
Oh, wow.
Because
Wow.
it gets to the point where you have one tiny spot on your face and you're looking at it and you are catastrophizing like you've never done before because your skin doesn't look like the filtered skin online. No one's skin does.
Now, today we're asking, are you better off single? Now, we mean that financially speaking. We aren't qualified to answer it in any other way, although I'm sure we will probably be delving into that realm. But surely it's a no-brainer. You have 2 wages as a couple, that joint income can pay for all the bills. Or is it? I said, look, no-brainer here. Tax perks, joint income. I mean, we should all just go home, shouldn't we? It's so much better to have 2 people's income and pay half the bills.
Well, you'd think so, wouldn't you? But we're also talking quality of life, other aspects of living that make it worth it. It's not all about the money.
Well, for clarity, let's set out our stalls right now. So I'm in a relationship, no kids. Because I think the no kids is really important here because there are different types of single and it's really hard to answer this as sort of one, what is it better off being single or in a relationship? There is no one answer to this.
Yes, my name's Martin and I'm single at the moment.
Right.
Sadly.
Hi, Martin.
Hi, Martin.
Hi, everybody. Hi. Yes, I also don't have kids either. Rebecca?
So I have a child. I am a single mum, but I am in a new-ish relationship with somebody who is not the father of my child.
Are you better off single?
No, unquestionably, I've never been poorer than when I've been single.
So let's go into that in a bit more detail. I mean, kids are expensive anyway.
Kids are unbelievably expensive, and they're not designed to be handled on one income.
But I do think that love makes us blind.
That's why get in there quick, right? First date. What's in your pension?
First dates?
Before you're in love,
gosh.
before you're blinded.
Gosh.
I'm right in there. Probably what explains why I've been single for so long. Look, I enjoy being in a relationship
with my partner. There's no question about it. But I know when I'm in a relationship, I don't think financially I'm better off. Yes, you have those fixed costs. So you have, as you said, your mortgage or your, rent. In my case, you have your energy bills, etc. Right? Or you go on holiday, you have to pay for a room. You can't split that with anyone, right? Those are your fixed costs, and absolutely you cannot deny that it's cheaper in a couple. But I find that if I'm with someone who earns more than me, I'm under pressure to pay to keep up with them. If I have someone who earns less than me, I feel under pressure to pay for them so that I can enjoy doing the things I want to do. When I'm single, I just have so much more freedom and choice over what I spend my money on that I get so much more value from it. Lloyd's did some research into this, and they actually found that while most of us think that we are worse off single, we are actually, on average, up to $3,600 a year better off when it comes to things like disposable income. But we think that we're worse off. £1 million now could buy you, based on average house prices, 3 houses. That's nice. 3 houses. Don't need 3. 1 would do. In 1998, when Who Wants to Be a Millionaire first came out, it could buy you 14.
Wow.
14 averagely priced houses. Today, we're asking, who wants to be a millionaire? It is the dream of many that a few turn into financial reality. But is that the case? It's actually not that rare to be a millionaire. In fact, there are the same number of millionaires in the UK as there are people in Albania. So it's got its own country. So what does it take to be a millionaire? Is it so hard? Is it all it's cracked up to be? To build wealth takes dedication, time, and ultimately probably sacrifice. However, I want to bring it back from billionaires back to millionaires. Millionaire is different because I think that the way that we define it now to include, if you think about it, your pension, your properties, your investments, your physical assets. When we talk about millionaire, it's not a couple of million just sitting there coolly in the bank. Whenever you hear the argument about, it's not that difficult for a young person to get on the property ladder nowadays because interest rates were 15% in the 80s. You forget that price to earnings ratio of how much a property was compared to what you were earning every year. So back in the 80s, I think it was like you could buy a property 4 times your income. Now you're looking at something like 9 times, which is, if you don't have a partner, you don't have family and friends to help you, the bank of mum and dad, that is hard. That is really hard. Today we're asking, why don't we all escape to the country? It was the dream that the pandemic turned into a reality for many, including yours truly. We upped sticks and in our droves we moved out of the cities and into the country. Oftentimes it's much cheaper, surrounded by green or blue, more space in your home for an office or a garden, to have a hot tub perhaps, or maybe a couple of dogs running around. But is it all it's cracked up to be? I'm Georgie Frost, and today Martin James and I will be exploring the good life with journalist and London escapee Katie Glass, who's written about her experience for The Times. Welcome to you both, Martin. I was going to start with you, but it's really hot in this jacket.
Yeah.
So, Katie, I just want to say I've made the effort. I've got Barber bag that can go. I've got the jacket and I've got the boots. Would I fit in the country?
It's everyone. That's what
and I've even
everyone's wearing.
I've got a shirt with a... Is it?
It's amazing.
Oh my God.
It's just like being in Somerset again.
Isn't it just? From my experience, I wasn't buying, I was renting. My rent went from North London, $1,600 a month to $750 a month in Skipton. I was like,
Wow.
I'm rich. London is the most affordable it's been since 2014. Wow. What price might that be, you're asking? It is still obviously the most expensive place in the country, and it's 13 times the average annual earnings of a UK worker. Now, bear in mind that if you want to get on the housing, you want to get a mortgage, lenders will likely give you, 4 to 4.5 times your annual earnings. That's how much they'll lend to you. The rest you have to save as a deposit. Okay, let's go for 2 people. Then you're looking at, 8 to 9. I worked out... I take this with a pinch of salt, but that's about 166,000 you'd have to have for a deposit. But what about the concept of loads of people moving to one particular area? We've had this particularly with Cornwall, where it's pushing up prices and you can't live in that area. Where I grew up, lovely town, like close to London, but still near the hills and all that sort of thing. The average property price last year was £900,000. Wow. I can't go back to the place that I grew up to buy. what made me think of doing this like as an episode was I was on TV and I was trying to say, it was after I think the chairman of NatWest said that, you know, it's easy for young people to get on the property ladder, and I said, look, no, it's not, it's quite tough. To which someone messaged me and said, why don't you just go to East Lancashire? So naturally I looked up. Cheapest place to live in East Lancashire is Accrington. House prices coming in at £130,000. Okay, quite substantially cheaper than £900,000. Yes, I could just move the other side of the country, leave all my ageing parents and family and that sort of thing behind. But I thought, what would that mean to, if we all just did up sticks and go to Accrington, what would that do to house prices there? What would it do? Because of course it's supply and demand. If everybody's demanding a house in Accrington, prices are going to go up. It's not quite as simple as just saying, just move. And we do hear that a lot, especially to young people saying, oh, don't just complain, move around the country for work, move around the country for a cheaper place. Let's just have a little explain now. Why are we doing this? So for me, it's the fact that we have all these words like mortgage and pension and investing, but what do we actually really mean? You mean a place to live, right? You mean not getting miserable in your old age. Money's become this like mystifiable thing, and it's like, that's not what it's about. It's about life. Today we're asking, can I quit work yet? Now it's the dream, isn't it? No Monday morning alarm clock, daily commuter grind, no bad bosses, annoying colleagues, mind-numbing work. I'm talking about retirement, and not in your 60s or your 70s or even longer, way earlier than that. What would it take to be able to quit your job now, or at least a decade or so earlier than planned? Retiring, whenever we may retire, in your 60s, mid-60s, late 60s, how much would you need to retire comfortably? Like, what are the stats? What are we aiming for here? This might be scary, so just
You want to go first,
bear with us.
It's actually quite terrifying, isn't it? Because nobody can pin it down to an exact amount
the
of
thing.
money. I've seen estimates from about 250,000 right the way up to 600,000 and more. And even when we get higher, which I'll bore you with later, even then, you know, you might not have enough money to make it into the upper reaches of old age.
So it's really difficult to find out exact figures and to know how much you need to save. Now, they have this heuristic, this rule of thumb, which is the age you are when you start saving for your retirement, halve it. So if you start saving at 30, you're talking 15%. If you start saving at 40, you're talking 20%. Now, people will be listening thinking, you know, how on earth can I save 20% of my income? We've had a cost of living crisis. You know, I might have kids. We're talking about saving all this money.
This is the moment where I admit I'm putting 34% of my pay into my
Lord.
workplace pension right now.
And you have a mortgage as well.
Yeah.
I've wasted my life.
This is what the crux, I think, comes down to, is what you are prepared to sacrifice for that. Because I'm someone who had a major back injury at the tender age of 26 that, you know, was told that I would be in a wheelchair, that I didn't know I'd be able to work properly again. I mean, that is very young to have sort of a potentially career-limiting injury. But it did make me super mindful that may very well rear its ugly head earlier than I would have hoped. So while I may think, you know, I can retire at, you know, 65, 66, whenever, 80, never, that may not be an option for me. So I sort of did a UKT at 31 when I did start earning a little bit of money, panicked and just shoveled. Today we're asking, is expensive wine worth it? Most of us assume the more expensive a bottle, the better it must taste. But is that true? Can most of us really tell a good quality wine anyway? Plus, does cheap plonk really give you more of a headache? Is the second wine listed on a menu truly the worst? Is life too short for bad wine? And how can anyone justify paying over $550,000 for a bottle of red? I'm Georgie Frost, and today Martin James and I will be looking to bust some wine money myths with the help of former Apprentice contestant and founder of Cult Wine Investment, Tom Gearing. Hi to you both. Welcome, Martin. I know your journey with wine. We've been on it a couple of times together. Are you looking forward to this one?
I can't tell you how much I've been looking forward to this particular episode. I'm going to restrain myself. I'm going to make sure that I don't reveal too many of our stories as we boated down rivers of wine in the past. But there are questions.
I've got you to sign a non-disclosure agreement before we did this,
have
yes.
done that, yes.
And I went for French-inspired themes. So look, we are well set for this. Tom, welcome. If you would, just start by saying little bit about telling us a little bit about your journey with wine. Quite influenced by your dad. Is that right?
Yeah, that is right. I was introduced to wine at a very young age. Some would say too young, but that's a difference
How
of
young
opinion.
is too young?
At the age of 11, I went on my first trip with him. We drove down to Burgundy to a place called Nuits Saint-Georges, and we went door to door to some of the best wineries in Burgundy for a week. And luckily, the first place we went downstairs, and I think to the point around your top, the French culture is maybe slightly different to the British culture in terms of like how they think about wine and food.
An 11-year-old's drinking
So as an 11-year-old, I
wine.
went down the steps into the cellar with my dad. The barrel room's there. He has this long glass pipette he puts into the barrel to draw out the wine. And as he's drawing out the wine, he hands out the small tasting glasses, one for my dad, and one appeared in my hand. and I received it. I looked to my dad, and he said to me, "You can have some taste as long as you promise me one thing." I said, "What's that?" He was like, "Don't tell your mother."
You mentioned there, Tom, about what goes into wine, and there's some great diagrams online about venenomics, I think it is. Like when you think about the packaging, the marketing, and I think the price point is the sweet spot is at, now with the cost of living crisis, it used to be about a tenner. Now it's probably like 12 to 15 pounds, I think I read. Talk me through the venenomics of wine.
Yeah. So look, the big thing in the UK is you have to pay duty on wine. So it's £2.67. It's actually gone up by 44p at the last budget. So £10 bottle of wine, we've got VAT, so take that off. So 20% goes, that's roughly at £8. Then you've got £2.67 coming off for duty. So about £5.30 of your 10 is going towards the wine. And as you correctly identify, you've got the bottling, the packaging, the corkage or the screw cap, plus the packaging and the distribution of it. If you spend £20, just as an easy analysis, £20 less your VAT, you're at £16 per bottle, same £2.47. You're then at £14.30, £14.40. So actually, as a percentage of what you're spending, more than 70% of a £20 spend on a bottle of wine is actually going towards the wine. Whereas on a £10 bottle of wine, only 50% of what you're spending is going on the wine. So that's like a like-for-like basis, but the glass costs the same, the cork closure costs the same, the shipping costs the same, the promotional information and marketing materials cost the same. So then when you take that 5 versus the 14, you can then actually ascertain that probably maybe less than £2 of a £10 spend is going on the actual juice or the actual alcohol or the actual wine, the fermented grape juice in the bottle, versus a £20 bottle of wine, you're probably getting about £12 worth of wine. So that's a 6x difference for spending an extra tenner.
Oh, lovely. Hang on.
So I'd say for beginners, always use a tabletop and you can get a nice swirl going. And then as you get more confident, you can graduate towards the mid-air swirl.
So we're looking for legs. Are we not looking for legs? Legs being the dribbles down the side is the technical term.
Well, it could be a good giveaway between the expensive and the cheaper wine. What do you think about this on the nose? Expressive, aromatic?
I mean, those were words I was going to use.
Am I the worst person ever because of all of the cigarettes I've smoked? And
I was going to say, to
terrible
me,
wine
it just
I've
smells a
drunk?
bit wet doggy. Like, but I've got a new
No,
dog,
that's me,
so I'm
that's
wondering.
me.
Yeah, have a little taste.
No, it's not horrible. You said carton, I went, and when
know.
you talk about screw caps,
Yeah.
it's like we have this fixed image in our head. It's got to have a cork, and
Yeah.
it's got to be this size, and even in the Spanish supermarkets, I'm immediately looking to the top shelf for the most expensive ones because I feel comfortable there. But am I just being duped here?
Or a snob.